All right. It's Trump and the G, and this is on the Stock Exchange, of course, and this is Stefon Diggs. Ain't him. And Stefon Diggs is uber talented wide receiver who now plays for the Houston Texans. He's out of Maryland. And I followed his career since he was at the University of Maryland. He's a track guy. Um, he's real fast. He has track speed. He was a big get for Maryland. He's from the state of Maryland. And when he went to the University of Maryland, he was one of the guys they targeted. I think he played a good council out of Maryland, the D.C. metropolitan area. And he's a big get for Maryland, and they were excited about him. And when he first came there, they thought he was going to help change Maryland's fortunes. He did a great job for Maryland and stuff, but they didn't really have the talent around him. Football's a team sport. Wide receivers with track speed, it's hard to give them the ball if you don't have other pieces in place. If you don't have a running game, if you don't have a really good offensive line, if you don't have wide receivers on the other side, and people can double team him, triple team him, and key on him. And I thought it seemed like he was supposed to change Maryland's fortunes, but I think the media thought he underperformed. I don't think so at all. I think he was uber talented. He just didn't have the pieces around him for him to be successful because team could key on him. And one player can't do it by himself. Without the right quarterback and offensive line to get a quarterback time, a running game to diversify away from the passing game and keep the defense off balance. And so I thought he was under. I thought he should have gone higher in the draft than he actually did. I thought he was a better player than what his stats showed in college. The Maryland wasn't very good. And I think he was, I wouldn't say overlooked, but I don't think he got the publicity he deserved. I thought he was one of the best players in the country in high school. I thought he was one of the best wide receivers in the country in college. It's just that he couldn't put up the stats, I don't think, because he was overshadowed by the fact that he wasn't playing on a good team, and there were maybe other players who won more games and had better stats because they had better players around them. So I'm a big Stefon Diggs fan. He went to the Minnesota Vikings. Vikings wasn't very good. He had that great catch in the playoff. I guess it took him to the playoffs with the Atlanta Hawks that game. And he eventually asked to be traded. Or he eventually was traded. I can't remember the detail. I think he asked to be traded because Minnesota just wasn't very good. And they weren't going anywhere. And so I kind of understood he was being underutilized in Minnesota. He wanted to win. And one guy can't turn a whole franchise around, football team around. Not like basketball. One guy can change a basketball team's fortunes. One guy, because only 5 guys on the court. With a football team, you need every player. You have to be good in all 3 phases: offense, defense, and special teams. You need 45 guys out there to win. If you're not good in any one of those phases, you just don't win. And that's why the New England Patriots were very good for all those years, because their 45 guys were better than your 45 guys. And you never knew which one of their 45 guys would show up. Okay, so anyway, so he got traded to the Buffalo Bills. I thought this is what he wanted. And the Buffalo Bills was a playoff team before he got there. They have Josh Allen, one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and they're one of the best football teams in the AFC. So if Stefon Diggs is carrying it like I'm him, then what happened in Buffalo? But now he's with the Houston Texans, which I can't figure out. One of the best teams in the AFC, if not the best team, along with Kansas City and Cincinnati. You're on a team that has a running game. This isn't Minnesota. This is the University of Maryland. You're on a team that has a running game. You have a studied quarterback who puts the team on his back, or tries to. You have receivers on the other side, Gabe Davis and other receivers on the other side. You have a good defense. You play well in all 3 phases. So what's your problem now, Stefon Diggs? Why are you with the Houston Texans? That's what I can't figure out. So they're playing. The Houston Texans are going to play Buffalo. I think this weekend is going to be his chance to face his former team, and there's all this sort of media hoopla, people writing articles because it sells newspapers and creates website hits. But I don't think it's a big deal because I don't think Stefon Diggs really isn't that important. He proved that because he didn't helped lead the Buffalo Bills to a Super Bowl. So I don't think he ain't him, and it's too much time talking about Stefon Diggs. Here's the article from ESPN. It says, it was neither, excerpt from an article from ESPN talking about Stefon Diggs. It was neither the biggest nor the most memorable play of the Buffalo Bills 2023 season. He had 10-7 late in the second quarter at the Philadelphia Eagles in Week 12. Josh Allen took the 3rd and 6 shotgun snap from the 13-yard line, glanced left, then to the right slot, where he knew exactly which player he would find. Stefon Diggs had found a tiny void in the Eagles' zone at the goal line, which is where Allen's necessarily low and perfect throw found him, sliding in the rain between safety Kevin Byard and linebacker Zach Cunningham. Touchdown. The Bills will blow a double-digit fourth-quarter lead and lose in overtime. And as it turns out, that would be Diggs' 37th and final touchdown as a Bill. The 30-year-old wide receiver with the NFL's most receptions from 2020 to 2023 would see his opportunities dwindle, even as his team went on a 5-game winning streak that took it from 6-6 after the Eagles lost to the AFC East title. 4 months and 1 week after Diggs slid through the rain in Philly, the Bills traded him to the Houston Texans, taking on $31 million of dead salary cap money to move him, the highest known dead cap charge for a wide receiver ever. Quote, "It felt very familiar," a high-ranking Viking source from the Diggs era said. Coaches and scouts on the Minnesota staff during Diggs' tenure, they often referred to the, quote, Diggs experience, end quote, a roller coaster of on-field brilliance and off-field irritability that can elicit discomfort within the football building. So it says here, ex-Viking source says, it can be a lot. He might throw his helmet, he will wear on your quarterback, but find me a premier receiver that's not a diva. Okay, so he's got the diva routine down. I get it. You want to be a diva, you gotta perform. Okay, when I say perform, he put up stats in the regular season. But he ain't him. If he was him, why didn't the Bills at least make the Super Bowl? You have all the pieces in place, Stefon Diggs. Everybody's blaming Josh Allen. No, Josh Allen ain't one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Josh Allen, that. Why are you letting the quarterback take all the heat, Stefon Diggs? Why? So here are his stats. During his years in the league. I'm starting with, he played 2015, 2016, 2017 with the Minnesota Vikings. In those 3 years, the most yards he ever had was 903. In 2018, he had 102 receptions for 1,021 yards. It averaged like 10 yards a catch, 9 TDs. 2019, 63 catches for 1,130 yards, 18 yards a catch, had 6 TDs. Then he went to Buffalo. He had probably best season in terms of yards receiving. 1,535 yards, 12.1 yards per catch, and 10 TDs. 2022, 1,429 yards, 11 TDs. 2023, 1,183 yards, and 8 TDs. He averaged like 11.1 yards per catch. So he's had over 1,000 yards per catch each year with the Buffalo Bills during the regular season. So it's pretty good. Here's the Bills' record. So when the best wide receivers in the league and you play with Minnesota, you go to a playoff caliber team in Buffalo, and they got all the pieces together. You got to get it. You got to. I'm saying he ain't the only reason they didn't make it to the Super Bowl, but you got to deliver. If you're him, you want to be him. If you want to be a diva, go win some Super Bowls. At least make it to the Super Bowl. Okay. He went to Buffalo in 2020, but in 2017, and 2018, Buffalo already got. 2017, Buffalo went to the playoffs, and 2019, the year before he went to Buffalo had lost in the wild card to the Texans. Okay, in 2020, his first year with the Buffalo Bills, they went to they lost the AFC Championship game to the Kansas City Chiefs. They made it to the AFC Championship game. In 2021, they lost in the divisional playoffs to the Kansas City Chiefs. 2022, they lost in the divisional playoffs to the Bengals, Cincinnati Bengals, who I think went to the Super Bowl that year. And then last year, they lost to the Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs again. Divisional playoffs. So, Buffalo, if you look at their record, it seems like they've been disappointing, but you look at their record, they just weren't better than the Kansas City Chiefs. It's pretty much that simple. And Kansas City has dominated the AFC over the past few years. However, everybody's looking around for why Buffalo hasn't performed. It seems like they've been disappointed. They haven't been disappointing. If, other than take away the performance of the Kansas City Chiefs during crunch time in the playoff when it matters, Buffalo probably goes to 2 Super Bowls at least. So everybody's looking at Josh Allen. What about Stefon Diggs? If you're supposed to say, look, you're supposed to be fighting in the locker room when you don't make the playoffs or you don't make the Super Bowl. With all that talent in Buffalo, and you left Minnesota to go to Buffalo. You walk around, you're a diva, and you're doing a diva routine, throwing helmets and wearing on quarterbacks and wearing on, arguing and carrying on. If you, Jerry Rice, and those type of guys, you supposed to at least make it to the Super Bowl, guy. Now you at the Houston. I don't know why you left. Why would you leave Buffalo? For what? Maybe you don't like the expectations. Because the expectation in Buffalo is to go to the Super Bowl and win a chip. That's the expectation. That's how Josh Allen now is being judged. Why leave Buffalo? I don't get it. Go to Houston, Texans. If you really him. So if you stay there, you stay in Buffalo, and you get it done. Too much talking about Stefon Diggs. He's a really fast player, great speed, and he'll put up numbers in the regular season. That's it. But he ain't him. Stop talking about this guy. That's Trump and the G. Thank you.